Hello, welcome to the folks who've already joined us. We're going to start in 1 minute. Just as folks start floating in, I can see that our numbers are already climbing. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Hello to those who already joined. We'll start in just a minute, just as folks click the link and come on in. For the folks who've already joined, if you have burning questions on your mind about academics already, you're welcome to already type those in the chat. Feel free to ask any questions that are on your mind from the get-go. Wonderful. And it looks like our numbers are evening out, so I'm just gonna get started. Welcome to Snow Days and welcome to Start on Campus Academics. Happy winter semester. We're the START team. We're the support for all new students to UofG. And whether you're starting this semester, you're a transfer student, beginning with us this semester, or you took classes in the fall semester and want to kickstart, welcome. Welcome to all of you. Please feel free to ask us questions throughout the next hour. We'll answer live. There's a little question box on the right side that you can type in your questions and someone will respond to you either privately or share your answer if it's a more common FAQ. So please feel free to ask anything on your mind. We'd be happy to answer, whether it's academic related or just something on your mind to do with starting off the winter semester on the right path. So at UofG, we know that gearing up for academic success is in 3 big steps. The first one, step 1, is to set your goals for the semester. Step 2 is to face challenges and setbacks with a growth mindset. And step 3 is to actively be connected, know who your supports and resources are, and to reach out to those folks proactively. So we wanted to chat, me from the START team and Victoria from the library, about how you can walk through these 3 steps right at the beginning of the semester and set yourself up for success looking ahead at everything that you have to do for academics from day 1 in your first week of classes, right to up and until and including the exam period. And so step 1, jumping right into it, is setting your goals. And so when we talk about setting goals, we're actually talking about SMART goals. And if you haven't heard what a SMART goal is before, I really encourage you just to hop on Google and search what a SMART goal is and think about how it can improve how you set your goals. When we think about goals, I think about what do you want to accomplish during your time at UofG overall, and what will success look like to you overall, and then zeroing in on the semester, what are 1, 2, or 3 goals that you have for the next few months? If one of them is grades, I try to think of one that is also not grades. So balancing that. If you have grades as one of your goals, what is one goal that is not necessarily directly related to your GPA? And that's because academics are important, but so are many other things. What do you want to accomplish during your time at UofG? Is there a volunteer opportunity you want to do? Is there something related to academics that you have a goal, maybe fulfilling or exploring an interest or a passion to see if that's related to a future career? And that has nothing to do with whether you get, I don't know, an 80 or an 85 in a semester. Is there a job that you want to get? Is there a club that you want to join? Do you want to learn a new skill inside the classroom or outside the classroom? So I really encourage you to take a moment and just reflect what 1, 2, or 3 goals that you have are for this semester, and then kind of your big picture. And I'll just give you a moment to do that. If you're a little bit stuck for thinking about a goal, I'll share some of my academic goals that I had in university. So one of them happened to be grade related. And so if you also have grade related goals, that's cool too. But another one was to really put myself out there with faculty and professors. And what I mean by that is I made it a priority and a goal for me to push my comfort zone. I was a little bit more shy in university, and I found it a little bit intimidating to approach faculty and ask them questions. So my goal was to push my comfort zone in each semester a little bit more. And so in semester 1, it was just to introduce myself to every single professor that I had at university. And I did that by going to office hours, sending folks emails, and where I could meet people in person or online virtually, depending whether it was an online class or an in-person class. And so that was one way that I pushed myself there. And then in upper year semesters, and I knew that my goal was a little bit more than that. I set the next goal for the next semester as being how can I increase that contact, because I might want to maybe in the future pursue a master's. And so I really wanted to develop some relationships with faculty, whether that be like a placement, maybe working in a lab, or the possibility to get a reference letter, for example. So that was a goal that I had that has nothing to do with a grade that I would have in a class. So I hope you have about 1 to 3 goals written down. It's okay if they don't all come to mind right now, that's all right. Just make a note that you want to take a moment this week at some point and think about setting 1 to 3 goals for this semester and overall for your time at UofG. And now I'm going to introduce Victoria from the library to talk about step 2, which is about facing challenges and setbacks with a growth mindset.
Wonderful. So I am Victoria. Hello, everyone. It is wonderful to fake see you virtually because I can only see myself right now. So my job is as a learning specialist in the library, and I'm also a PhD student on campus. So I'm right here with you learning online. So before we start talking about facing challenges with a growth mindset, I just really want to quickly talk about planning and setting up our space online. That's really important now that we're working in this online context. So one of the most helpful things you can do in terms of planning is writing down everything that you have to do for that semester. And maybe those goals that Andrea mentioned fit into there somehow. So how are you going to achieve those goals? What are some steps you need to take? And I love to show students that we actually use what we talk about. So you probably can't read this, that's totally okay. This is my master list of workshops. So I've written down every workshop that I need to plan and I need to deliver this semester. It's all in one place, really easy for me to keep track of. The other piece that's really important when we're working online is setting up our physical space. So thinking about where you want to work, where you can work, thinking about what works well for you and what you need. So maybe things like, if you're like me, I love pens and paper and taking notes by hand. So I need lots of pens and paper. I might need some extra pens in case my pens run out. Is there something else that you can use if you like to take notes digitally? Is there software that might be helpful, or even a second monitor if that's possible at all? It also can be helpful to think of the barriers or distractions that might happen when we're working online. And of course, this happens to all of us. I think most, if not all of us, have experienced this at least once, internet problems. So thinking about what's going to happen if my internet cuts out during a lecture or I can't get onto my course. How am I going to manage that? And I'll share the example today. Normally I work downstairs because that's where my other monitor is, but our internet is not working properly. So I thought to myself, and I planned ahead, I know that I could work in the kitchen because no one else is home today. So that's where I'm working. So if we think about those things that might come up, those barriers or those problems that might arise when we're working online, we can definitely plan ahead and have some strategies. So let's talk a little bit about how do we face setbacks with a growth mindset. I'll first start talking about what growth mindset is. The easiest way to think about this is growth mindset on one side versus fixed mindset on the other side. So a fixed mindset, you would believe things like, people are just born smart. I'm never going to get any better. I'm never going to get any smarter. You're born a certain way, you're born with talent, you're just good at things. On the other side of that spectrum is the growth mindset, which is ideally where we want to move all of you and all of us to. The growth mindset is more of a belief of, I can get better. I need practice to change things. I can get better grades. effort is involved in getting better grades and doing better and being better. So this might be a new concept to you, or it might be something that you've heard many times before. Either way, that's totally okay. What I want you to do is actually right now reflect on a growth mindset. So we're going to actually practice using a growth mindset. And the idea here is that we're thinking about process rather than product. So right now, and I'll do this with you, think of one thing in your life that you're really, really proud of, one accomplishment that you've made. And I want you to actually break down everything that went into that accomplishment. So thinking about things you did to get there, any times you practiced, any support that you had, and we'll just spend a few moments writing that down. Okay, so I'll share my example. And the reason I mentioned I was a PhD student was because my example is my qualifying exam. So basically, if you don't know what that is, totally okay. It's just a series of exams that you have to do when you're a PhD student. And in my case, it was papers. So on the surface level, great. It seems like Victoria is super smart. She wrote a bunch of papers and passed her qualifying exams. But if I actually think about it, I spent 4 months prepping for this, reading for at least 4 hours every day, writing, taking notes, reflecting, starting a draft, revising that draft, starting another draft, revising that draft, going back, reading, writing, note-taking, revising. So you can see that this accomplishment, if we look at it with a fixed mindset, is, well, Victoria's just good at that. She's clearly smart. That's the end of it. But when we take more of that growth mindset, we see all of the work that went into that process. Another point that I want to make, and that all of you might be feeling right now a little bit because we're working online, is that stress is a really normal response, especially when it's something that's unknown to us. So learning online can be very stressful, especially if you've never done it before. University can be very stressful because you probably haven't done it before, or maybe you have done it before, but this is a different context. The unknown can cause stress. When stress starts to affect our everyday lives, however, so we find we're isolating, we can't sleep, there's more things going on, then it might be worthwhile to seek support. I also want to bring up the idea of mistakes as a normal part of learning. And I'm sure that we've all had experiences in our lives where we reflected back on them and said, wow, I really learned a lot from that situation where things didn't go so well. And that's what I find too, is that often we learn more from the situations that don't go well than from the ones that do. And I apologize, my house is really dry right now, so my throat is getting really dry. So making mistakes and facing them with a growth mindset can be really, really helpful for our learning. So maybe asking ourselves questions like, what can I learn from this situation? Or how can I do things differently next time? Or do I want to do things differently next time? Even if the situation went well, we can still learn what we did well to get to that point. I also think it's important for us to talk a little bit about some of the stereotypes of university. So I'm quickly just going to ask you right now, think in your head to yourself, what have I heard about university? What have people told me? So either friends, colleagues, classmates, instructors, whoever, even media. What do I think about university, or what are some of the stereotypes that come up for me? So just think of the ones that are coming up for you. So I think the most common one that I hear quite often, and I'm sure we've all heard, is that my grades are going to fall at least 10% when I start university. Or we might hear, the professors don't care about me at all. Or I might hear, I'm just a number in a class, I don't really matter. or my classes are going to be so hard, I'm not going to be able to understand them. There's lots of information out there that's not necessarily true. And so I think by acknowledging these stereotypes and then challenging them, we're actually less likely to believe them. And I want to finish us off right now talking about strengths, because that's a really, really important part of doing well, and doing well academically and non-academically in university. So right now, thinking about what you're good at. What strengths do you have? What do you enjoy doing? Are there particular subjects that you like more than others? And once we've thought of a few examples, thinking about how we can use those strengths to make this experience in university a better one for you. How can you use those strengths to make learning online a better experience? And I'll give us back to Andrea, and you'll see, or hear from me rather, and see me in a few moments.
Thanks so much, Victoria. Okay, we'll hop back to Victoria in a moment, but I really just wanted to mention that getting connected to others at U of G supports your success in academics too. So being connected to peers, finding things outside of the classroom, support your learning and skills in classes, and also help keep motivation higher. It is a tangible idea and solid goal to have alongside your more academic goals to get involved in at least one club, activity, or opportunity outside of the classroom this semester. So I really encourage you to use snow days to find something. So if you found this event, it was likely through an email or on grifflife.ca, and I really encourage you to look through the rest of that email or go through the rest of events offered during snow days on grifflife.ca, because they are things outside of the classroom that can really help support your academics in a way that seems a little bit disconnected, but we know that students who are engaged in things outside the classroom, whether that's for skill reasons, jobs, interests in a variety of things like clubs, it actually really supports their learning and skills in classes and also helps keep your motivation higher. So I really recommend for you just to check out either more details in that email or on grifflife.ca to find other things outside of just your classes this semester. And I want to chat about step 3. Step 3 was actively being connected, knowing who your supports and resources are, we'll share some, and reaching out to them proactively. So I want to take a moment just to think of and name your supports. So Victoria spoke a little bit about growth mindset on facing challenges. Challenges will happen. It is normal and it is expected. Some of the challenges and setbacks you might be able to predict based on knowing yourself, and others might be a surprise. That's okay. It's not about what setbacks or challenges you experience, it's about how you respond to them. One thing to consider about responding to them is to know who your supports are. And that's why step 3 is about supports. What I mean by this is when something goes sideways for you during university, when something becomes challenging and you're just not quite sure what to do, or you face a setback that interrupts your academics, your wellness, who do you call on for support? Whether that to be just to talk to ask advice of, or just for help in figuring out next steps. Who do you have in your life that you can count on for support? For me, that's my sister. I can always chat things out with her. So just take a moment just to note either in your head or on a piece of paper or on whatever tech you're using to connect with us today, your phone or your laptop or your computer. Who do you have that can support you? Whether to talk to, ask advice of, that is a listening ear, or for help in figuring out, even if they don't know all the answers. And then the follow-up question to that is, who do you have at U of G that can support you. So Victoria from the library is on Teams Live with us today. Perhaps one of the things that Victoria will mention will be a support that's positive for you. If you're an international student, maybe that's the international office. If you're a student with a disability, maybe you already know that student accessibility services will be a really positive connection for you. Or maybe you know that English in high school wasn't your strength, or you just quite aren't sure how your writing is, so you know that you should connect with the library's writing services proactively. Think about the challenges that you may face and also get acquainted to the ones you might have. That's why I encourage you to take the time now to be familiar with the resources UofG has for you, so that when you face a challenge or a setback, because you will, we all did, we all do in university, just all different types of challenges and setbacks, you'll know who your resources and supports are. Victoria, I just want to add you back on in here so that you can chat a little bit more about what the library can do to support.
Wonderful, thank you. Oh, the delay seems quicker on Teams now. I'm right up and live. Okay, so as Andrea mentioned, the library is a really, really fantastic support and supports in plural for students on campus. Basically, the library, and we have one main library on campus whenever it is that we get back to campus, hopefully soon. It is our main hub of academic supports. So for things like writing, things like learning and studying, test taking, the work that I do. We also have support with research if you need to find different articles, support with data, lots of different ways to get some support. So what I'm going to attempt to do is share my screen so that I can show you the library website right now. This is our main library website, and something that I do want to point out is that you'll see there's a lot of services here, and all of our services, or if not all of them, 99% of them are continuing to be offered to students virtually. So this is our main search tool. I won't talk about this too much, but this is if you're looking for articles or books, something in particular, that's how you find it. Some things that I will highlight is this tab right here that says writing and studying. So if I click on this, I can see I can book study spaces. We won't worry about that too much because we're not in person. There's writing resources and workshops, studying resources and workshops, research assistant, so 3 of the things I mentioned, and also English language support. So I'm going to click on mine, which is studying support, and this is what my team helps with. So on these websites, they look fairly similar, or sorry, web pages, because it's on the library website. You'll see some of the things that we can provide support with and book an appointment. That's one of the great things about our library is that the staff at our library offer appointments to students. So they're one-on-one confidential appointments and they're really personalized to you. All of these are free to our students and our staff and faculty because they're paid for by student fees. So you don't have to worry that if you book an appointment with a learning specialist or writing specialist that you're going to somehow owe money to one of us. It's all covered by your student fees, so you don't need to worry about that. The other thing that I want to show you, and I'm just going to do a search because this is how I find it myself. They're called library guides or LibGuides for short. So I'm just going to pop in LibGuides. You can see that I've searched this many times. It already shows up. And I'm going to click on the first link there. And this is the library guides website. So there's a few different types. We have course guides for specific courses, subject guides, and topic guides. There's library guides on a huge variety of things, from citing to finding different types of literature, to presentations, to different types of writing, to digital, more kind of digital media stuff like infographics and videos, and finding sources. So what I'm just going to do, again, because I work in this area, I'm going to search presentations because I'm really worried about my presentations. And what I see happening is that there's a bunch of resources now here, and I'll just click on one of them to show you what this library guide looks like. It's a really quick how-to guide on a variety of topics, as I mentioned. So this one in particular is called Present Like a Pro. It's about presentations. You'll notice as I did that the library guides are searchable. So if there's a keyword, you don't know if a guide exists, you don't really want to go through the comprehensive list, just pop that keyword in there and hopefully one will show up for you. The last thing that I want to show you here is at the bottom of the screen, the chat with us button. So this little chat with us icon, that kind of gets you that immediate support when the librarians are available. You can ask things like, I'm looking for this book. I can't find it. Can you help me find it? They can definitely find it. One thing I will mention about the library, which is really helpful, is that as long as you connect with someone in the library, we can send you to the right place. So if you're not sure, the best advice is to just reach out, because chances are that person knows who the right person is to connect you with. So I'm going to stop screen sharing here so that you can see me again. And that was a really quick overview of the library and the library websites. I do encourage you to spend some time exploring it on your own. There's lots of really, really fantastic resources that are available to you on the library that you can access right now, right away. And if you're interested in booking future appointments, you can do that on the library's website as well.
Thanks so much, Victoria. I also know that lots of students have questions around UofG's Tech for Academics. UofG uses multiple platforms to communicate with students and host classes, workshops, events. CourseLink is your main platform where all your course information is held. So professors upload the course outline in there, and they will share that during the first week of classes what you can expect to find on CourseLink under that course. Many classes use CourseLink to upload assignments, do quizzes, and many other things. I encourage you to make sure that your notifications are on for CourseLink, and you can do that under settings. That way you know when something is new on CourseLink, and those settings are modified for you, personalized for you, whether you want to receive an email about something or you just want a notification when you go and check CourseLink the next time. Many students check CourseLink daily. There's also important information from the university communicated to you by your UofG email. So that's your @uofguelph.ca email. I encourage you to also make a habit of checking that daily too. Many courses use Zoom, Teams, and other platforms. If you haven't used the platform for a particular class before, chances are many other folks have not as well, and that there's a tutorial somewhere on the UofG website on how to use it at UofG. If you don't know where to start with a particular platform, for example, maybe you've never used Zoom before because your other classes used Teams, that's okay. Just email us at start@uofguelph.ca and we can help you from there if you can't find an online guide on how to use it. So I wanted just to also share that if you aren't sure where to start for resources, or you aren't sure where to plan for starting off the semester organized and towards success, I really encourage you to sign up for Bounce Back. I'll post in the chat a link for signing up. You'll get to meet with an upper year student bi-weekly for 3 or more meetings to ensure that you're on the right track this semester. So if you're someone who in our question box today is asking questions about balance, or not quite sure that you have a strong idea of what all your resources are, or you're having maybe a predictive challenge around having a growth mindset for this semester, whether that's because of any stress, setbacks, or feelings from the previous semester, or a moment of like trying something new or starting something new this semester, I really encourage you to sign up for Bounce Back, because that upper year student has been in your shoes. They've been in first year before, and they very much so remember and know what it's like to be in your very first year at UofG, whether you're a transfer student in your first year or starting the winter semester, some new courses. They're also really incredible for being helpful around being confident in what we've shared today. So if you're just not 100% confident in setting your goals, facing challenges and setbacks with a growth mindset, setting up your space, or figuring out how to use the library website, etc., I really encourage you to think about them as like a bonus person in your resources, and to consider joining them for that reason. Perfect. So we're going to hang around because I see lots of questions rolling in for all three things, step 1, 2, and 3. Victoria is going to take a moment to answer some of the more library-related questions. And I know that Rosanna and I from the START team will answer anything else that comes up more related to getting started in your first year. So I'm just going to hang around here just in case there's more questions that roll in. I can see that some of them are already being answered. And just in case any come to your mind in the next few minutes. Perfect. So I'll just be here answering questions.